Just Buggin'. Hey guys, this is G-Man with Just Buggin', and we are on the motor for the 1975 Trike. Yes, it is going to be sweet. So I'm doing the same thing as I did with the orange one for the dune buggy, the 59 dune buggy from Mecum, except for it's going to be high gloss black instead of high gloss orange, and then the alternator tin will be flat, and so will the cradle for the alternator, and then this will be the oil fill will be high gloss, and then cap will be flat. So I'm still waiting on the oil cooler. I remember the one that failed on the dune buggy motor. We needed to move along, so I used the one for Ricky, and I went ahead and ordered two from a different company that claims that theirs is high quality. So it's the first time that ever happened to me, so sure it's not the first. Somebody else has had that problem. As you can see, we got the big dune buggy ceramic coated exhaust on it now. So I'm going to be putting on as much as I can. You can see I'm starting to tighten down, putting on the fuel pump. And then I'm going to stick the alternator cradle on and get my lower tin goes behind here. I like to have that on there. Still trying to determine with this, this wide aluminum pulley for the alternator and then this, and it comes out really far. So I can't find a guard that will accommodate that, and this is the one that I ended up cutting holes in here. I might just go ahead and try to extend these and set it out further and try to make this work. Possibility. If I don't, oh well, I tried. I'm not going to hurt anything with this. And then if it works, I'll have to order another one and modify another one to put on the dune buggy, and then I'll put one on this. So that's where I'm at right now. I hope to get the alternator fan assembly installed into the squirrel cage, and that's about as far as I can go until the oil cooler comes in Monday. So I'm going to try to get as much as I can get done today, and then I'll just have to wait. And then over here we have another rebuild, and this is for a 1978 convertible that hasn't arrived yet. It was waiting on the motor to be rebuilt, and then the tins are getting brought in soon, and I can sandblast and shoot those. But we'll be getting back to a video on this motor. So moving along, motors are coming in and going out and coming in and going out. This motor is going to get the 3236 progressive carburetor set up, and that one over there is going to get the 38 millimeter like on the dune buggy. So all right, that's where I'm at. All right guys, this is about as far as I'm going to get on this motor. I'm waiting on an oil cooler, and I'll probably I'll get the fan assembly installed on the squirrel cage, and I'm just putting some anti-seize on the spark plugs. Good idea. All this is done and they're tightened down. And that's about it until Monday. The cooler will be here. All right guys, I got the new alternator for his 1975 Trike, and the reason we got it is, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but if so, do it again. It's got way too much resistance in it. I mean, you got to put some effort in it to turn that, and I don't want to have any problems with it. So we'll deal with that later and maybe fix that, see if we can take it somewhere or whatever, but got to move on. I've got the fan assembly on the 1975 Trike motor. Looking really nice, except for all my fingerprints everywhere. And a rag can't take off. A terry cloth rag, that is. So now I'm going to get to the 3236 carburetor right here, and the intake, and hopefully I don't have any intake leaks on this one. I'm going to make sure I read that last time, but it said May, and I looked at it and it looked fine, but definitely going to keep an eye on that this time. I do not want to do that again. We had a few little bumps and obstacles to get past on that 38 millimeter on the dune buggy, but it's trial and error sometimes, you know. I mean, I've never put one of these 3236. I was always stock, and and Mike is all familiar with the high performance parts, and so I'm learning a lot from him. Anyways, that's where I'm at now. I'm going to put the carburetor set up on it, hopefully get this motor done today.
Hey guys, it's Dalton. We're going to take a moment for one of our sponsors, the VDUB Factory. The VDUB Factory is a family-oriented shop that offers VW parts for a more affordable price with excellent customer service. Come down to the VDUB Factory in Ocala, Florida.
Alright, well I see I had to pull the squirrel cage back off, fan assembly, whatever you want to call it, because now, just like the other one, I've got some trimming to do. It doesn't appear to be the right, for some reason it's always the left, but this one, quite noticeable. You remember the other one was just like a quarter inch or less had to come off. This is like the one I did for that motor right there with a new intake. I had to pull off a good inch or so. So then I noticed 3236 doesn't come with the cast intake manifolds. So kit I got from when I bought the rear brakes for that one, it came with the carburetor and it had these. Now these are polished, unlike some other ones I have here that just have cast aluminum on it. Well, they didn't want to fit well. I mean, with the Chinese tins, you know, another problem I ran into. Well, I mean, it's a booger to get it back out of there. But see, I had to actually shave some of it off, which isn't more than it's supposed to be, because if you look, I mated it with another set, and if you see, I don't know if you can see that, there's a very large edge there, and it will not even make it down in here. So I'm going to do the same that I did to that one. It doesn't really, it's not really taking off anything on there. See, it doesn't even go, you're not even near there. Yeah, so that's fine. So I'm going to do that to the other side, so I'll make sure it fits down in here properly. It's just a little bit of effort. All right, yeah, I'm gonna do the other one. Send that surface off. All right, that's where I'm at. I'm trying to get this one done, but there's always some modifications and another new carburetor setup for me. So it's a learning curve here. All right, guys, I got it fitted. Like I said, I had to grind a little of the nubs off the sides of the intake down there where it fit in there, and it's still, you know, it's still, you have to push it down in there. It's nice and firm, but it does plant itself. And you don't have to trim anything on this side, and I didn't have to trim anything on that one when I did it, but I actually had to trim about the same amount as I did on that one. I think it was about this much, it might have been a little bit less. But then the 38 millimeter, I only had to trim that much. So that's not a hard mistake to make, but it's one you don't want to do again. I can't reiterate that more, but each time I've had to trim one, it wasn't on the right side. So it fits in there nicely. This, I didn't trim it all, and it's a good thing. It only goes in there like a quarter inch, but the boot goes on it. That's sufficient enough. So I got that one right. All right, guys, here you go. That's as far as I'm getting today. I got this trim right. Well, these Chinese tins, they're a pain in the ass, but I do like the 36 horsepower doghouse. This definitely isn't gonna have 36 horsepower. All right, guys, cleaned my mess up somewhat in here. It's a nasty rain day today, so I was gonna get back on Ricky's motor. And I got this preheat tube on, a little bit of effort on it. It's hitting this part of the alternator cradle, the nut in the corner there. I had to ding that in a little bit. But look at this one. I mean, I haven't run into this yet. And I have another one here, it's just a little bit different. It's 32, 36 pick, and the plenum's a little bit different. But I pulled the tube out, and it's no different. Boy, it's pouring.
Done with. She throws more wind at you.
And it's no different than this one, and it still doesn't get any closer. And you see my bends right there. So I can't trim any more off. So if you can still hear me.
I can't hear you.
I'm gonna end up having to take an inch out of this and welding the tube back together and getting everything just right so it plants itself right there. What a pain in the ass. Oh well, gotta be done. All right, guys, I'm back on the 1975 VW Trike. I'm assembling the motor. I ran into nothing but issues. Well, first I had this intake on there, and then I realized that this tube wouldn't reach. Where is it? I mean, it was too far past the bend. All right, here it is. It was way too far out, and the bend was already in here. And I put the squirrel cage down on it and put the alternator in the cradle, and then I realized this must be for one with the generator, because it's way too short. It's like 2.5 inches taller on this one. Luckily I have two of these here with used 3236s. Apparently this kit was for a different application. So I got out the taller intake, and then of course the tube fits correctly, the one that came with this one. I've got to trim this one and put it in. So I put the alternator on there and everything, and I put the carburetor on. I'm like, okay, carburetor clears the alternator now. Problem solved. Now I come up with an additional problem. One thing after another. Well, I can tell this carburetor is going to be more of a pain in the ass to adjust than the 38 millimeter was. The 38 millimeter had a jet in the front and a jet in the rear. That one in the rear, you had to get your fingers and go back and forth and turn it. Well, this one has the adjustment in the rear, and then there's this post right beside it. So reaching your fingers across and trying to adjust this one is just not going to be possible. So that's going to be a pain in the ass. Well, when I set the carburetor on there, I see that this, see I put some blue RTV on there so I could see where it was touching, would touch the squirrel cage. And you're gonna have a wire here, yeah, you can put some insulation on it, but that is just too much of a chance of arcing out on that. So what I'm doing now, and anyways, if you want to adjust the choke, you better do it before you put it on there and get it right, because you're gonna have to take it back off to adjust it again. So as long as the positive terminal doesn't touch, then you're okay. Well, I've got this right here. I found this little thing and I'm gluing a plug into it so that it's not, doesn't have a hole in that, so I'm waiting for it to dry. This is like concave. I'm gonna drill this hole out. Of course, I got the blades in here, or not blades, but little directionals for the fan inside here. So I've got to grind this hole out and then cut that section out that I want to drop this into. And then I'm going to put some adhesive around here and set it right there nicely. And so then I'll have an indentation where that plug can stick out and you can stick it on. I was looking for something larger, but I'm just going to paint this up nicely and stick it on there, and that'll solve that problem. A little bit of pain in the ass, but I'll make it look like it was made to be there. I really don't have any other option. If anybody has a suggestion of what they did, feel free to make a comment, because I would really like to know. But it is what it is. Alrighty, well, that's where I'm at on this one. It's just one problem after another, but I will eventually get past all these obstacles. Alright guys, well, I got past that obstacle and it doesn't look bad at all. It looks like it belongs there. I just placed it on there. I just placed it on there and then laid the carburetor on, and it sits right in there, and the prong stands out, sits out to where you can access it. And of course you're gonna have to adjust your choke before you put it down, and hopefully you don't have to make another adjustment because you have to take it off. And same with the carburetor. I mean,
Julian,
that really sucks. The adjustment's right there and that pin's in the way. I mean, I don't know if you could cut it off, and it's probably got a hole in it. It's probably for a port, I guess, for, I don't see any other ports, so that must be where you just trim the edge off or something and hook your advance up to it, I imagine. So, I don't know. Guess I'll just have to set base settings and then one extra turn and hope that's it. If not, you're gonna have to pull the carburetor back up, adjust it, and put it back down. What a pain there. But I guess once you get it there, hopefully, you know, until the weather changes, I have to adjust it again. But we'll see. Learning a new carburetor this time. Like I said, I was mainly into stock. You know, 34 pick 3 was the biggest one, a single barrel carb, you know, and so I'm learning, getting schooled. Alright guys, I'm back on the 75 Trike motor, and we had the issue with the too short of an intake manifold. So I've got the correct one on there, and I wanted to detail it out. It was a little dingy looking. So I've got my boots all planted where they need to be. Everything uniform. Get this motor together. I got another one to put together. Busy, busy, busy. Alright, looks sweet. Alright, I'm pretty much ready for the squirrel cage. See my repair here, mentioned it earlier. You'll see when I get the carburetor on there. It's going to fit a whole lot better this time. And I did want to make some gaskets to go over here. Do that after I get it on here. A little bit of a pain in the ass here. There we go. Like she's sitting in there. She's in the cradle. Yeah, perfect, right there. And this is not his carburetor, but it is the same thing. This is just a used one. Let's see. Well, my wire's not touching there, but it is up against it. Damn, not a lot you can do with that. We're right on the fuel pump, but the wire is not touching. See, apparently what it is this 36 horsepower doghouse, which really looks nice on it. I'd like to find out what other people have done when they put a big carburetor on it like this. But see, the stock one has concaved right here, so you don't have that issue. But I don't have this one together yet. It's not going to be any different, and of course the choke is not on there. All right, well, that's where I'm at right now. I mean, it's not hitting 12 volts, so I mean, it's not going to short on the cage. So all right, I got it to fit a little better. I loosened up these clamps, and I remembered I had a little play back and forth on the intake. It was kind of close over here, so I moved it over a little bit, and then I set my choke on the new carb, and I went ahead and set it. And then an insulated connector, female connector, there's not really enough space in there for it, but it's on plastic, so there's no way it's going to touch the metal. So, and anyways, if you want to adjust it, you got to pull the carburetor back off. If you want to adjust the carburetor, you could possibly get in here with 2 fingers, but you got a post right here on the side, so that's a pain in the butt there. But as you notice, my plastic piece, it looks nice there. It's clean, so I think that's going to work. And then the carburetor's mating nicely, so that's all you can do, and I think it's pretty nice, and it looks like it was made that way. It centers itself right in that hole, basically. So I'm happy with that. Something different on all of these. All right, guys, I'm back on the 75 Trike. I was positioning this. You can see how close it is to clearance. They only give you like an 1/8 of an inch clearance for the choke for the positive terminal. But this is a 36 horsepower doghouse, and I don't think it was ever intended for this carburetor to be on it. So I had to make a modification. You see the stock ones, they're already concave right here, so you don't have that issue. So I had to cut a hole in there and put that little piece there in it. So it doesn't even have room for an insulation on the wire, but it's sandwiched between plastic, so it's not going to be a problem. At least I don't feel so. It is. So I got to change this linkage out, give the instructions on this is not the style you want on this one. And I noticed it's going to be a pain in the butt to adjust. You get your idle control screw here, and then your fuel air mixture on the very back. It's going to be a little pain to do that. And then the choke's back there. It's quite unusual, but just different version carburetor that I haven't put on yet. So all right, guys, back on the 75 Trike. This motor is really looking hot. Been messing with the carburetor, and then I had to drill the holes and my plastic black rivets in here for the coil. Of course, I got my Just Buggin' decal there. Might need to bring that up a little bit. All right, well, that's as far as we're gonna get on that. All I have left, the wires and then fuel line. They go to the back. Still need to find a tube for this one, for the accelerator cable, but she is looking sharp. Beautiful motor. Hey guys, I'm pretty much done with Ricky's motor for the 75 VW Trike, and boy, it is just a gorgeous motor. But like I said, I had a hell of a time with this carburetor. You can see it rests. It is exactly resting on the fuel pump. And then because of this 36 horsepower doghouse, really isn't for this carburetor because it's not concaved right here. All right, guys, yeah, I'm finally there. Gonna put we put this in all our motors now. It's expensive oil, but it's the best out there for these motors with the high zinc in it. So I'm about to put oil in the 75 VW Trike motor, and boy, this is gonna be a mean machine. It's just gorgeous. The only thing is the carburetor, all these bolts are just loose. They're not tightened down because of any, if we want to reset the choke or preset the fuel air mixture. It's really a pain in the ass to get to all this. Look at that screws right there. So I guess you have to use a wrench. I mean, it's facing that way. And then you got that screw back there. And see, there's no clearance. I had to make that little concave right there for the 12 volts. So nothing makes contact with that connection there and shorts out. So I solved that. I could take this off until I put the cable on it, because it ends up hitting the linkage. Other than that, we're gonna probably have to take the carburetor off to readjust it, but we'll get past that. I got to put some Teflon tape on these fittings and put the oil pressure gauge on there. But right now, I'm gonna fill it up with oil, and then all I gotta do is get it off of this engine stand and put it on the starting station, and get Mike out here in the next couple of days and we'll do our break-in period on this one. It's getting really busy. It's a nice thing. Boy, this is some nice oil here, but boy, it's like $6.99 or so a quart. And 1,000 miles later, it's got to be back. But it takes an awful lot of driving to put 1,000 miles on this Trike. Get every drop out of that bad boy. That's probably a nickel right there. All right, guys. Got 3 quarts of it in there. I'm gonna let it settle and get those oil pressure gauge on there now. I don't know why I keep saying ZR1. It is VR1 20W50 Valvoline oil, but I guess I keep, because of the zinc, I want to say ZR1 for Z. So I just correct myself before somebody else corrects me. All right, well, stay tuned for the break-in of the 1975 Trike motor, fresh rebuild. All right, guys, it's Mike and I on the much awaited break-in period for the 1975 VW Trike motor, 1600 dual port with some poop put in it.
Okay, we're gonna go.
There we go. Starting to go off now.
And
We have oil pressure now. Good to go. Any fuel come up here yet?
No.
I have a little bit to prime it if you want.
You know, I'm thinking, Greg, what we can do is when we finally mount the carburetor, we get to that point, go ahead and see if we can discharge tube. Go ahead and take it a little bit and squirt it down into the float line. Pray for the best.
You just gonna let it pump it?
Yeah. Yeah. Or if I give it anything, I'll give a shot of this. Here, I'm gonna let you do that. Just give it a shot of that. And
listen to that baby cam. Oh my God. We're at 40 PSI at an idle. We get 1,000 RPM. What's the dwell at? Oh, it's real close. Yeah. Wow. Valves are still seized. Oh yeah.
oh, are these ceramic? Are these ceramic?
Yeah.
I'm looking for 300 to 400
Yeah.
degrees.
The ceramic, yeah.
And because they're ceramic, you can cut it in half.
Sweet. This is one hell of a motor. Listen to that. Can you imagine that on that Trike? You're sitting at a light.
I'm gonna be praying for Ricky.
Yeah, it needs wheelie bars. Woo-wee. Oh, Nelly. Wow, we got 50 minutes to go. All right, guys, if you notice, it's smoothing out a lot. I don't know if you can hear me too well, but about 25 minutes left on the break-in. Valves are seating well. It's starting to really run a little smooth as much as it can with a big cam like that. But really happy with it. Hey, we got about 5 minutes left in the break-in. Listen to that thing load. All right, guys, we made it through the break-in period. So now it's time for tuning, fine-tuning the timing and fine-tuning the carburetor, idle and fuel air mixture. So that'll finish it off for the 1975 Trike rebuild. Subscribe, like, hit the bell for notifications. This is G-Man, out.
Hey guys, it's Dalton. Thanks for watching this video. I know it was a long one, but we're starting to do our videos completely through and throughout from start to finish. So I hope you guys enjoy the full, more complete videos. But if you guys do, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and have a just buggin' of a day. Stay safe.